Hi everyone, welcome back to the workshop, and it's repair time again, and this time I've got a Tektronix 465 oscilloscope, a pretty well known oscilloscope, the 465, and this one's got a couple of faults. It was donated by Richard from Oxford. Take a look at my last video if you want to see the story on where this came from. In the meantime, let's power it up and let's demonstrate those faults. So I've got the test output hooked up to channel A, and it's a square wave apparently, but we're not getting that in the scope, and I think the problem is with this switch here. If I just play around with it, there's on AC, back to DC, it looks like it's stuck. There we go, looks like it's coming. Yep, it's trying to go DC. Nearly. That's it. So we've definitely got a dicky switch here. And the other one that's a bit dicky is the intensity pot here. You can see it's just flashing all over the place. It's not exactly linear. So I think that one needs a clean. That one needs a clean. I think the focus is okay. Yep, focus is perfect. And the scale illumination, that's a little bit dicky as well. Not sure if you can see that, the orange illumination there. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit dicky there. Now, I've been over the rest of the scope, and the push buttons, etc., they're all working okay. It's just those three items really. So let me power it down for a while, then we'll open it up and let's see if we can fix those items. Okay, let's open it up. And there we go, inside the unit. And just take a look at that beautiful PCB there. Now, I don't know anything about the 465, but when I opened it up just now, wow, it's just beautiful. Let's take a look at the underside, if I can. Wow, more of the same again. Now, before I touch anything, I am actually going to try and discharge the capacitors. I'm not going to go near the HV stuff, obviously, but the main bulk capacitors, I'm going to discharge them. So let's locate them and get out the discharge tool. And before I do that, not sure, but I just found this on the workbench there. A little blob of solder there, so I'm not sure if that came out of the unit when I opened it up. Well, actually going across a load of the capacitors here with my meter, not really finding much, couple of volts. I don't think we've got much to worry about. There's all the electrolytic capacitors, that's the underside of the PCB there, and they're all mounted on the other side of the board. I can't really see any others located anywhere else, so no need to discharge them, we can go ahead. And there is the top side, and you can see those electrolytics there. Not sure if this one down here has maybe been replaced. It looks like a different brand to those original ones there, but we're not going to touch that. Let's take a look at this other PCB as well whilst we're here. Yep, and it's just as nice as the circuit board on the other side. Lovely. So let's start with the two potentiometers. So as I showed earlier, it's the intensity and the scale illumination that were a bit dodgy. This centre one here was a focus. As you can see, there's a rod goes all the way through to the high voltage side of the scope, but we're not going to touch that. So there are the two potentiometers here that I need to do a little bit of cleaning on. I'm going to try and get some Deoxit inside them to hopefully clean them up. Now, they do look to be pretty well sealed, but there is a couple of screws. There's 4 screws in the back of each one, which I think allows it to split apart. So hopefully I can loosen off maybe just this top 2 enough just to prise it open a little bit, that I can get the aerosol Deoxit inside. So we'll try that now. I've never taken one of these apart before, not this particular type anyway. I think the screw goes all the way through to the front plate. So I think we'll loosen it off anyway. And I might manage in this one here to loosen off the bottom two. Yeah, it is actually split in there, I think. The little air gap appearing. Yeah, that might actually be enough, actually. Let's get some Deoxit in there. And here's actually a little trick with Deoxit. The nozzle, the tube nozzle here, can be actually quite big. And what ends up happening is when you spray it, it goes all over the place. But if you take some heat shrink sleeving and just heat it up and shrink the end, you end up with a much finer tube on the end, and it's attached itself quite firmly to the end of the tube there. I think actually I'm going to loosen off the third one here. The fourth one, there's actually a diode in the way, so I'm not going to touch it. Let's just unscrew that one there just a little bit, and I should manage to, yeah, that should be good enough. Let's get the Deoxit going. And that should be good enough. Let's clean that up. And screw it back together again. And let's just rotate it back and forward there. Let's get that Deoxit working, hopefully. Let's try the same again with this one here. I'm definitely only going to be able to get two of them loosened off. Oh, this one's tight. That's it. Now this looks to be a dual gang one, so I might need to spray it in here and in the middle there if I possibly can. There, I've split it just a bit. There we go. Let's see if I can split it in the middle now. Oh, it's not really wanting to do much. Well, yeah, we got it a little bit. Will I get some in there? We'll try. Yeah. Go, that's that tight. And again, let's just operate it back and forward This one actually feels not as good as the other one. This one feels a little bit grindy, if you know what I mean. Looks like we've got some dirt just where the shaft disappears in, so I might try and put it up the other way, and let's see if I can get some Deoxit down inside that shaft there. It might be just the fact that it's dual gang that I'm feeling, but it doesn't feel that great, to tell you the truth. Well, I think we'll leave it like that just now and we'll try it out. But first I want to do that switch in the front. I don't want to power it up again. Everything's discharged at the moment and they've got to be careful with the high voltage. So let's try and see if we can get to that front panel switch, and let's see if we can clean that one up as well. Right, it took me a little bit of time to locate the mechanism for that front panel switch, but I think I found it. And if I just operate the switch on the front panel, and you can see that that barrel there, let me just put an extra bit of light there. Let me put an extra bit of light there, and you can see that barrel there is turning when I operate the switch. And if you look down here, you can see the actual contacts there. And they are operating onto the actual PCB, the reverse side of this PCB here by the looks of it. So not too bad to get at after all. I had visions there that I might need to strip these PCBs out to get to it, but I think I might be able to get to the actual contacts there from the top with a little bit of Deoxit there. Now hopefully it just needs a Deoxit and it's not actually that metal pieces there that are obviously being pushed against the PCB. Hopefully they're not worn or something like that, or the barrel is actually worn that's operating them. If that's the case, a little bit more drastic repair might be necessary, but I think we'll try it with just some Deoxit first and see how it goes. Well, actual fact, the contacts are not on that side of the PCB, they're actually on this other side. Because when you operate this, a little pin goes through a hole in the PCB and operates a contact on this side. And I think I might be able to get to it. Let me just rearrange the camera and let you have a look. And this took a little bit of positioning to see, but if you look down in here, that is the contact there, or one of them. There's another one beside it, just out of sight, but that's the actual contact there that I need to Deoxit. So I'll go and do that now. Well, I've put some Deoxit in it, but I'm not comfortable, to tell you the truth, and I've just realised it looks like this cover here might come off. I've got 6 screws there, and that would expose that switch perfectly. So let me try and remove that and see if it comes off. That does come off. Yes! And you can see very clearly now how it operates. You've got the traces on the board coming along and there's a break in them, and you've got the actual contact that comes down and bridges the tracks, and you've got the same at this one at the far end there. The other ones don't move. That's actually for the volts per division switch, as you can see there, and there was nothing wrong with that. So it looks like it's just that two there that I've got to clean up, so I can get some Deoxit in there a little bit easier now. And failing that, I might need to bend them very slightly. Maybe they're just too light a touch onto the actual the fingers of the lever there onto the actual PCB. But we can power it up in this state anyway and check its operation once I've put a bit more Deoxit on. I've got the workshop light off just so that you can see the actual display better. So let me power it up. And let's just attach the scope probe here as it warms up. And it's in the DC position, but that doesn't look right. And in fact, whoa. Nope, it's still got a problem there. But wait a minute. It could be this switch, the volts per division switch, the vertical scale adjustment that's causing the problem. Because when I move this switch here, I'm actually physically moving that one as well. It's all part of the same mechanism. So it looks like it could be, yes, just lightly turning that. Yep, looks like I'm going to have to clean all the contacts on that barrel there. Yes. Okay, let me power off and let's go and deoxit that switch. Okay, so you can see one of the contacts there. And I think there's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I should be able to get the deoxit in there and hopefully that'll make a difference. If not, I might need to try and clean those contacts and get something underneath them to give them a little bit of a wipe, but we'll try this first. Just managing to put my heat shrink sleeve in down the gap there. Right. I need to dry off the PCB a little bit. Right, we'll try that. Yeah, you can definitely see now. It's still not fixed. You can definitely see now. A square wave there, and if I just go one division, you can see it suddenly jumps to an almost AC mode from DC. So I think we're going to have to get underneath those contacts and possibly bend them slightly. Well, hopefully you can see that. Not easy to film. But what I'm going to do is, I've got some little slithers of paper here that I've cut up that I'm going to put underneath the contacts and then lower the contact and then pull it out. I think that's the only way I'm going to get under those, because they're actually soldered or pinned as well to the PCB, so I'm definitely not going to be able to remove those little arms to clean them. So let's just try it with the one of them here. There we go, and put it down and pull it out, and I'll just continually do that, and that way I can also feel how much tension there is down onto the PCB. You can see that Deoxit is actually wicking up onto the paper as well, which is not a bad thing. They are really hard to get to. So I'll go off and do the other ones now, because I need to get my head right over it, and I'll come back. Now I think I'm actually going to bend them very, very slightly. Just a little bit of pressure onto the top of the mechanism there, and hold it in the up position and just push down very lightly with my tweezers. Hopefully that will just bend them very, very slightly down. Put an extra bit of pressure on the actual gold contacts, because I'm noticing when I put the paper in, they're not all the same. Some of them seem to be a little bit weaker than the others, although it's really hard to get in about there. Right, that's it. Let's try again. Okay, let's power it up. Scope probe on it again. Aha! That's better. Yes. Yeah, that's better. Well, I don't know if it was the paper underneath it or actually just bending them very slightly has fixed that, but it looks a lot better anyway. And I'll just check the intensity is still okay. Yep. And the scale, yep. Perfect. I can go and put it back together now, I think. Well, there we go. Looks like it's working now. Perfect. Another tool for the workshop, and I haven't had an analog scope for many years, so it'll be great to be able to use it at the far end of the workbench here. Perfect. So thanks for watching, and remember you can always comment down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. There's plenty more repair videos on my channel, from the simple to the complex. Check them out, and thanks for watching.